Hi there.
Hi, hello.
Hi,
Hi.
Stephanie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I see that we have more people in the room, but I don't know if everyone understood how to connect to this.
Actually,
Um,
I didn't really understand either. I was just waiting in the lobby in a way, trying to get in, but it's okay.
yeah,
Fix it somehow. Cool.
yeah.
Awesome.
You live and you learn slowly. Yeah, it was an interesting session. I loved how you guys held it to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
The sessions from before, I don't remember anymore the name, but I think it was Accelerators made that
Yeah. I mean,
introduction.
it's kind of fun, like how every other company from different industries, they all in a way try to do the same, like say, you apply the same approaches with a little twist to it, and also adapt it to their industry. In the end, still.
Yeah,
And we're not an accelerator, so but
yeah,
still,
yeah.
we
No, but
qualify
it
for
was
this
a
session.
great opportunity to showcase, what kind of innovation hub everyone's coming from, because not everything is so clear. So sometimes the kind of way in is not clarified just by the name or the website, and having someone actually present and show and say what they're interested in now, that
Yeah,
makes it very, very clear and to the point.
cool.
Yeah, so I heard that you're interested in anything that makes your products or manufacturing processes smart.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we do. I mean, how should we get this up? Like, just like in a way, give you background on who we are, what we're looking for anyone else in there, or how should we run this?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I saw the agenda. It had much less sessions. And then when I opened it up, I was like, oh, there's so much because there's relatively different things that are also relevant for Razor Labs, for the company that I
Yeah,
represent. So that's why it was a bit of a toss up.
no
Um,
worries.
but yeah, I think it would be great to hear a bit about BSH and,
Yeah,
just
I
how
mean, sure, sure.
to,
Yeah.
make it a smaller forum for one-on-one. So.
Yeah, fine. I mean, like to start with, like, I mean, not everyone might be aware of who we are, like BSH, Bosch Siemens Home Appliances. That's what the acronym stands for. Like that's more known. So we like whenever it comes to whenever you see like home appliances with Bosch, Siemens, and actually 12 other global brands on it. That's what we do. So we're like one of the global players when it comes to home appliances, white goods, consumer goods, and we're not a pumpy company. That's the reason why not so many people know about us, right? So we're part of the Bosch Group, which is privately held, part of like owned by a foundation. So we have a very long-term vision on how we do business. But I mean, even though we're owned by a foundation, they still want us to make money. So we're always looking to deliver good value to our customers, to be profitable, be most efficient as we can be. We're like behind the products, there's kind of like a complex company structure because like we are a global company. We have 12 brands. We have 6 product categories. Like they're organized around our products like cooking, washing, drying, freezing. And it like when you look at it from the outside, it looks very similar, but in our like in behind closed doors, it's kind of like a complex matrix structure, brands, product categories, and the different margins. We're in different product categories for different markets, different customer requirements and stuff. So we have a fairly high complexity when it comes to the way we manage our supply chain, logistics, and manufacturing. And that's, I mean, for us, I mean, of course, we're a German engineering-driven company, so efficiency is kind of like at the core of our DNA. But we're always looking to get better. And what we do, like I'm heading the startup kitchen within BSH, which is the venture clienting program. So that means that we look for new startup solutions that can help to make us better. And this is pretty much what we do, right?
So in terms of, just so I understand it, it's sort of underneath the foundation, but where you have partners from other corporations for the goal of innovation itself, or is it also for other? I mean, is it also a business unit on its own, or is it only
Yeah, like we work for business units, so it's always business
you work
driven.
for business units,
We
right?
work for the business units. It's business driven, and the way that's a very good question. That's why we're not really an accelerator, but we coin it rather venture clienting. So I always work for an internal client, which is a business unit. We have a challenge, and like just to name one, could be which we already had and actually solved with an Israeli startup a year ago already, was like quality management in one of our factories. So quality management and automation of currently human inspection. So there were some tests where just like people in the line took some parts and checked if they had the right quality, right specifications.
Yeah.
And that was a pain for them. I mean, waste of time, waste of resources. Actually, like human quality checks are always prone to error. So these colleagues in the factory, in the product, they actually tried many things already to solve this, actually failed, which I think it's a good thing that they tried and failed and then reached out to us saying there must be something out there that's more flexible, that's actually cheaper, and something we can use ourselves, like something in a way as a service, like inspection as a service. And we found a company for them pretty fast, pretty easy. And that's our job, like being that matchmaker between the need of the business unit and the solutions that you find in the startup ecosystem from everywhere.
Great.
And typically that's where, and these our experiences, I've seen that in many other corporates before, many teams struggle with having that global transparency of what's available. They might be connected to a couple of universities, or maybe they know some startup hubs locally, but that doesn't give you the full flavor of what's possible. And we're agnostic to where solutions come from. That's the great thing about technology. It's tech can talk. We all can talk to each other on technical level, and having inefficiencies driving us everywhere. And especially when it comes to manufacturing, supply chain, logistics. I mean, we're not the only company with a supply chain. We're not the only company with manufacturing. We're like cross industry. There are the same issues, and that's also like a great spot where if you find great startups that go see this cross industry issues, develop solutions, and then try to scale them across industries. And we're very happy to be one of the early adapters of these solutions then.
And you work with Bosch only, or also Siemens, or the other 12 partners?
No. Like, I mean, they're not really part. There are the brands within. They're also units, if you want to call it like that. So
okay. So they're in.
It's all one. It's all one. We're all one family in a way. Okay. So exactly. So we are one group. So BSH is like if you want to say like the conglomerate that sums up everything and integrates all these activities across all the brands, across all the regions, across all product categories. And even though they are in work, like acting quite independently, that's totally right. We're one company, and we're the one unit supporting everyone.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. So it must be a big team.
I wish it would be bigger. I mean, as always.
In order to connect with the different business units and be always updated in terms of what they're looking for, or how, to scout for things. Yeah,
that's a tricky thing. I agree. Keeps us busy. No, we're not that many. Like overall, if you count we have some partners we work with. If you would count the heads, we're like 8 people doing it.
Okay.
With like different split of tasks. So there's some people like me who would rather try to be in touch with all the product divisions, or like development heads of development innovation teams, also like business teams, like business processes are also like part of what we're doing, and try to find where there are pain points. And then of course we have other team members who then do the sourcing, scouting, assessment of the startups, help with the onboarding in a pilot project. And that's key for us. Like we don't want to be just like, we don't stop with showing people or making a first contact. That's what we always do, of course, but it doesn't stop there. So we take it from a first contact to a deeper discussion, engagement that will always, and that's what we do, always push for a pilot project.
Right.
I don't know. Have you ever worked for corporate?
Yeah, we actually. So let me present really shortly Razor Labs. Razor Labs is almost 5 years old now. Israeli founded startup in broad terms, building AI solutions for manufacturing, industrial, and natural resource companies. So yeah, with corporations, we have quite a bit of experience. We have actually a subsidiary in Australia because we have so much work going on there with mining companies. So we've been very active with BHP and Newcrest. You heard of the iron ore and gold biggest mining companies in the world, respectively. We've worked in Europe. We worked also, with Vector, a huge electricity company, with the Israel Electric Company, which is kind of a monopoly here, with ICL, Israel Chemicals Company in Israel, but it's also abroad. It's the largest chemicals company here in Israel. We worked in Europe with Eurostar, and I'm in loss for more logos and names to drop.
So how is it working with the corporate? I mean, I have my own view, but what is it from you that could be much better?
Yeah, no, fair enough. So actually, in my previous life, not so long ago, I was at Samsung Next. I don't know if you know them. They also have presence in Germany.
Of course, I know them. Sure.
Oh, you do? Okay, I wasn't sure. I don't know. Are they still is everyone still there on the team? I don't. Okay. Because I don't know if things have changed already since. But anyways, so I was at Samsung Next here in Israel, so I know a bit about this world of innovation, being kind of an independent group, but then having to work closely with business units. Also having it as in the beginning, it was sort of we were very independent, and then at least around the time that I left, it was already very dependent on the decision making of business units and the management there in order to actually get investments through. But from the side of the startups, it's mostly, I think, from my experience also, is that there are a lot of innovation groups, different ones even sometimes in the same corporation, but not necessarily do they know who to involve in terms of stakeholders. And also that sometimes when the innovation group comes and introduces things to the local manufacturer, the factory will turn around and say, yeah, but who's paying for this? Because if the global team has looked at it and wants to maybe push for a pilot and locally, then the local team will say, no, actually you take on the cost, because you would want to anyway roll it out to all of the different factories or manufacturing sites. So we rather that you take on the cost, and then it's a matter of approval. It just becomes a bit more difficult now. But
but I mean that's super tricky, and we have that all the time, right? With that kind of decentralized structure. But I think there are two ways to get along with it. So either, and I think that's also important for any startup to say, if I do a project, who will be the decision maker and who will be driving the adoption, and then who will be paying for it? And if that question cannot be answered, it has a very high tendency of being a bad project for both sides, because you waste money. Even if it's paid, and that's what we also it's always a paid pilot. What will happen after? And sometimes it might not be clear, but then you got to think about involving the right people from the start, with a mix of on the global and the local team, right? So it's hard to it depends on company culture, but it's very hard to force people. But that's the second part, how you can do it. And actually, in one the solution I just described at the beginning, one of the manufacturer leads, he was saying, now that we know that this thing works, this will be the standard. If anyone wants to do something different, this solution will be the new standard. And I think that's awesome, but you need someone with that commitment and in a way be willing to take that fight with other people. I mean, corporates, depending on the corporate culture, but conflicts don't, typically people rather avoid conflicts than fight for stuff if it's not to their personal interest in a way. So you got to find a way to motivate people and fight for the topic, make it their topic.
Sometimes we come also, upon CIOs or heads of innovation who come from the company from many years of experience, and they have this whole vision. And there we work very well, just because we are less of an off-the-shelf kind of product, but we are rather more of a tailor-made. The solutions that we provide are very tailor-made, so they come after more in-depth discussion with the specific team or with the big management team to understand what are really the priorities of what are the most pressing issues that they have, or what is the most I don't know if it's called easiest, but the fastest way in to have a first good project that everyone will be satisfied and we'll have that covered and build that.
How did you find these contacts? Like if you know the CIO, maybe he can or she can drive things. But how do you find, as an outsider, find that right person? Do you have a trick?
Well, it's not. I mean, it's honestly, it's a bit of luck too, right? But as it so happens, Israel is such a. I mean, I don't know if you've had a chance to visit, but it's such a hub where people literally come, purposefully at least once a year to come in here and be inspired. And especially if you get to be on one of those delegations, then they end up, bringing you to different places. And that's kind of how it happened for us with Australia. Because one of these companies, there was the CIO, and he was in this delegation and was so blown away by our presentation that we meet. And he then got interviewed a couple of months later about his work in innovation, and had also cited us as a really strong vendor. Nice. And that's kind of how this whole Australia story started. But with other teams, it's also either you get high ranked up people who again come for these conferences, very purposefully bring also the whole team. So from logistics to manufacturing to packaging, different kinds of aspects of the process. And then, they push also the whole time. They're like, have you talked to them? Have you seen how this works and so on? And then,
how do you go along with the not invented here syndrome? So if I got it right, so you're doing AI, so getting insights out of structured, unstructured data. We're like data scientists. A couple of them, 10, and you don't have to tell me that you might be doing much more than any internal team could do, but how do you deal with that situation?
If on your end you have a data science team?
Yeah.
So actually, we are not a data science company. We do data science projects just because they are usually kind of easy to give, a perspective of what we can do, or kind of show a pilot. But actually, we're we have deep learning and AI algorithm engineers. So it's a bit of a different kind of nature of the product. So with data analytics and data scientists will give you a certain overview of what's happening now. We will give that extra layer of the forgot the word in English, it just comes up in German, Zusammenhänge.
Connections.
So, correlation. So sorry, I'm a German speaker from home. So the correlations, between different things, and also being able to predict and forecast how this will, be in the future. And but we've had already a few projects, actually, especially in the East. We work with Musashi and Muratech, and believe me, they're very proud, and they have big teams of data scientists and even AI engineers. But actually, in those projects, what happened was that they couldn't get to the highest level of accuracy that they had imagined from their algorithms. And so we supported actually from within the framework that they were working in. It wasn't started from scratch, but rather there was an improvement on what they have started. So we have no problem working with these kinds of teams as well, and have that open communication about how to move the product technologically or business-wise in a better way in order for it to work. We're also a software company, and we have several hardware-related packaging projects where we recommend sensors.
Just
So.
sorry, like I assume we're running out of time. I was just like asking, do you see any kind of like shift in topics that you're working on or projects that you're working on now with the, I mean, also like driving us like instability due to the COVID crisis, which is for us like good, bad.
Yeah.
It used to be bad with like a very bad April, but I mean, home appliances, consumer goods are like still selling like crazy with like, we were like really
Especially
nice.
now when people
At least for
like,
now, people stay home. People don't go on vacation. They still gotta spend money, get a new washing machine. Awesome, but it's like it's volatility. Like they will not buy. Like they might have bought next year. So it's just like a temporal shift in demand, but tricky for us to manage in a way. Also, we're looking for stuff over there. Did you experience also different types of topics?
So actually, it was actually also, a topic that we've worked on with 2 different companies is actually improving their control over the supply chain. We call it scheduling, so AI for scheduling. Because what happens is exactly that the, request for demand, you cannot, anymore rely statistically on, teams of manual laborers who used to do the planning for, the whole packaging and the production itself and the operations and the changeovers and all these kinds of things, because they just had too many canceled orders because they just couldn't make enough, they couldn't supply enough for the demand that was happening. Or on the opposite side, they had to save on and then store a lot of supply that wasn't going out. So yeah, we've been working on these kinds of projects as well. And these, in the same way as predictive maintenance and or visual inspection projects. So in scheduling, it's really about taking the different restraints and the different, rules, whether it's inventory policy, whether it's, this usual kind of daily supply, how long does something take to produce and so on, and put that into, the algorithm. And then, show to get, together with deep learning and AI technology, be able to get to a certain, framework, which automatically can also be updated every time that a certain resource is being changed, a certain KPI, the priority of this specific KPI is being changed. Then accordingly, you can also change the schedule of, where the team is meant to, focus on now, of how much, production should be here. So yeah, it's a very complex project, but it's definitely doable.
Cool. Nice. So is that the stuff that you're doing is it mainly project work, or like what's your business model? Do you then?
Yeah, so we have, 2 main technology platforms. We call it, one is called Visual Mind, so anything that is visual, safety, visual inspection, security, things like that. And then on the other hand, we have Data Mind, so any sensor that is not visual, but rather data. From LiDAR to optic fibers to normal sensors to heat to temperature to all these kinds of things. So these are the 2 main technology platforms, and out of those, we've worked with different companies on really a variety of different kinds of projects. So what we usually do is kind of have a first initial discussion of trying to find what is the best use case that they're looking for. First of all, obviously present all the stuff that we've done, and then, try to find what is maybe, more of a focus. If the company as a company doesn't know, we've actually developed this business model called our workshop, which can be from 2 weeks to 2 months, and can really be a very full, comprehensive sitting down with the executive management team, with the lower management team, and try to really build out, what the priorities are, and what is also solvable with AI, because obviously a lot of problems will come up that have to do probably more with management than actually technology. But it's definitely something that we, build out because we've had already quite a lot of experience in this, that it just comes up again and again that actually companies want innovation. They just don't know exactly how this would even look like, or what is the first thing that they have to do. And obviously, for, let's say, predictive maintenance, we can always recommend on, what kind of sensors to put on and things like that. But for sure, for us, if you had the SCADA and MES, kind of programs, this is something that we would be able to work with or give a company quicker value.
Yeah.
If that was already
cool.
existing.
Right. I just added you on LinkedIn, so we should stay in touch. I mean, there might be some topics we could definitely jump into some discussions, I guess. Different levels, like top level, like, or maybe very down to earth when it comes to like some predictive maintenance stuff on the shop floor. I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, if you want, I can send you my email, or you can send me yours, and I can have I can follow up on the discussion.
Is that a private chat? I'll just send you mine because I need to jump to the next meeting. I guess I think we're.
Oh yeah, you're right. I think the stage is going back.
Yeah, we'll close us in a sec. Anyways, cool.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, nice to have met you.
All right.
Stefan, okay.
It was nice meeting you, and
nice
see you later.
Too.
Talk to you then.
Speak later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.